This tutorial looks at the process of creating and uploading interactive furniture items to the Space Virtual World platform. To follow this tutorial, you need to have installed Unity, you need to have registered at the curator.sine.space website, and you need to have installed the Space Editor Pack. And when you've done that, you should see the Space menu item in the top bar of your Unity project here. So furniture items are objects in a scene that users can click and will then be animated in concert with the item itself. So most obviously sitting on a chair, although really it could be any kind of static object that the avatar is then positioned and animated in relation to. Those can be moving animations or static poses, and you can have one or more avatars jumping on a single furniture item. Furniture items can also be baked into the scene when you upload it, or they can have a virtual goods script attached to them and set as a generic item that people can spawn in other regions wherever they want, whether that's regions they own or ones that are set publicly to allow objects to spawn. So I've got a couple of examples here which I'm going to talk through. The first is just a single chair, and then on this second one I will show attaching two different pose spots, and I'll also show how to attach a non-player character to one of those positions. So the first one I'm doing is just a chair. This is actually a mesh object that I got for free on the Unity Asset Store, kind of a lounger. And I'm going to click on the object itself here in the scene hierarchy, and I'm going to attach a child object to it. So I'm going to create empty child, and you can see that immediately vests an object at 0, 0, 0 as a child to the mesh-based object, and I'm going to call this pose. And the reason I'm doing that is because this can then be moved independent of the mesh object, and that's how I can position the gesture so that it's perfectly positioned in relation to the visible chair. So I'm going to add a component in the inspector to this child object, and the component I'm going to call search for is seat improved, which is our main script for sitting. So I add component, I search for seat, and then I click on seat improved in the inspector. And you can see this green object has appeared in the scene, and I've got a component attached to this object which has 4 available slots. So one is for an animation, which is the one I'm going to use, and that, if you drag an animation in there, that will apply to any avatar that sits on this chair. If you want to, you can do gender specific, so you can have a different animation for male and female, and then this slot here is where you drag a non-player character if you want an NPC instead of a user to be using the item. So I'm going to find a gesture or an animation to go on here. I've got some here, in fact, and I've created this pose. This is actually just a static pose that I've done for the purposes of showing the animation. Obviously you can have fully motion captured or hand-keyed animations, but this is just a static pose. And when you upload these, if you watch our tutorials about gestures, you'll know that when you import an FBX file with an animation in it to Unity, you need to apply a couple of settings. So you need to set the animation type in the inspector here as humanoid. It'll probably arrive as generic, so you set it to humanoid, which I've done already, and you either create from this model, or if your animation is coming from a different character, then you can set the definition from the model itself, and then Unity's mechanism system will then procedurally automatically map it over to our models. or if you're using our models to create the pose originally, then you can just go and find it here. It's I'm using the 2015 male avatar, which is our current animation. Sorry, our current model. Then in the rig here, you can see that I have set the motion to none because there's no point in me using the offset from the, which you can see there, from the original file in Motion Builder, because I'm going to be adjusting the offset using this tool here anyway. So I'm going to, that's actually more important where you have two-person animations, because you don't want to use the offset from here, because then the two clickable items are basically both in the same place. So you'll see when we come onto this sofa that you want to leave that at nothing on the root motion node. So I'm coming back to my lounge chair, to the subsidiary child object which has this attached, and I'm grabbing the take from my FBX file, the take itself, and I'm dragging that into the animation slot here. And now, because I've got the player character in my scene, you can just search for player character in the project and drag it into the scene. I can press play. Okay, so you can see, if I just walk up to the chair and pan around, that it does have that blue icon over it, which tells me that it can be sat on. And so I just click on this. This is what the user will see in World as well. But you can see that the position is completely off there. So I'm going to move, with play still clicked, I'm going to move from the game window back to the scene window here, where you can see in amongst this absolute forest of kludge, my avatar is lounging there. And I'm going to grab that child pose object that we created, and I'm going to click E to rotate. And in fact, if I hold down Control as I rotate, it'll move in increments. And I'm just going to move it around 90 degrees because I think it's exactly off by 90 degrees. And then I'm going to click W, which gives me the translation data. And I want to get this, I'm not quite sure where it goes. Looks a little bit off there. But actually, from my original pose, I know that I did have this hand perfectly on the back there. So if I move that into place there, and the rest of it should be in place. So I put that there. It looks like I've actually got it rotated maybe one too many. Let's just move it back a little bit. Maybe it should be like that, and there. And it's a little bit high up, so I'm just going to drop it down slightly just for the purposes of this demo. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. There we go. I think that's about okay. Check that hand again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I've done all of that with play in place so that I can see the avatar on the chair to get the position correct. And the translation data here is what I now want to apply permanently. If I press stop here, all of this will jump back to 0, 0, 0. So what I do is, whilst play is still running, while the runtime is still live, I'm going to right click on transform. I'm going to click on the word transform. I'm going to click copy component. And now when I press stop, you'll see this has jumped back to its original position of 0, 0. And I'm going to right click on the word transform again. And I'm going to paste component values, and you can see already that it's jumped into place. And now if I press play, I can, oops, notwithstanding there isn't a mesh on that, mesh collider, I can put that on, and now you can see we're in exactly the right position. And I haven't got the avatar inspector working in my developer version of the editor at the moment, so I can't click on the avatar and zoom in on myself very well, so I'm just using this generic view. But when it's in world, you can then use the avatar inspector to zoom in on your face or any other part of your body while you're doing that pose. So I'm just going to click stand up now. And so that is how to do a basic furniture item. Now you can either leave that baked in your scene and just array furniture items in your nightclub or whatever it may be, or alternately, you can attach a virtual good script to the object, as I've done here, make it a generic virtual good type, and then you can put it on sale. If you watch our tutorial on generics, you'll see how to create that as a virtual good. It's very straightforward. You just add the product information here, and then when you have the item in world, you can push it to the store and other people can purchase it and they can spawn it in other regions as a furniture item that, that they or other users can sit on. Okay, so that's a simple single person furniture item. I'm just very quickly going to do pretty much the same for this sofa to make it a two-person item and to show the attachment of an NPC. So I'm going to create an empty child object and a second empty child object. I'm going to call this one slouched because that matches the animation that I'm going to put on it, and this one on back. I'm going to you can actually, if I just press shift and highlight both, I can add that seat component to both of them at once, and you can do that. Unity allows you to apply, just by highlighting multiple items, you can apply components or other changes to groups very easily in Unity. Here, so I've got something called slouch and I've got my seat script on it, and here you can see I've got a different FBX file with two poses in it, again just static poses. For the purposes of this demo. I've already rigged them so that they are set to humanoid, and they're actually on the female. Won't make any difference. Mechanim will translate it across, and the animations again, and this is where it really does matter. The animations are on none. If I had these, you'll see here. If I apply the root transform and apply, it positions this to be in the same position as my original file in Motion Builder, where I had the sofa visible and I posed the characters. But the problem with that is if you use that to get your offset in world, both of those blue seat, clickable seat icons, the action tags that you saw there, will be on top of each other because they'll both be at 0, 0, 0 on the item, using the animation file offset to position these. And what we actually want is for them to be in separate positions so that one user can click on one and another user can click on another and know which part of the furniture item they're going to appear on. So I'm leaving that information out and leaving this at none. Then I come back to here, and I'm going to grab the slouched take and drag that into the animation slot on the seat improved script attached to that child object. I'm going to grab the on back take from my FBX file and attach that to the animation track on the on back child object that I just created. I'll just shift one of these so you can see that there are two attached to the furniture item. They've rotated around, which suggests that this furniture item has some odd rotational information. Again, I just grabbed this off the Unity store for the purposes of doing a demo. On the slouched one here, I'm now going to grab an NPC, and so you can see in my scene already I've got a non-player character that I've created previously. If you watch our basic NPC tutorial, you will see how to use this statue script. I don't have an animation attached to the NPC itself, and I don't actually need a virtual good script attached to this one because I'm not submitting it separately. It's just baked into the scene. But what I do have is the player outfit ID, which is what dresses it in a particular set of clothing. Again, if you watch the basic NPC tutorial, you'll see where to get that ID from on the live server. You just dress your avatar and then save an outfit and it gives you the ID. So that CrowdBot 3 NPC I'm going to drag into the NPC slot here on the Seat Improved script of the slouched child object. So I grab this and literally just drag it over here. And now if I press play, it will be in completely the wrong place. Yep, you can see her head is in the floor and her legs are in the air. And you can also see that the seat for me is positioning me in completely the wrong place as well. What I can do is again come from the game window here to the scene window, and I can go to that slouched child object that we created, and you can see again in amidst all of this content, I press E to rotate it around 90 degrees. W is the shortcut key that then gives me the translation keys, so I can move it so that she's on the sofa roughly. Need to drop her down a bit, which is this key here. Her hands should be right on the sofa there. I can just see that they are. And I'm just going to move her up a bit and check how far into the back of the sofa her head is. Looks like it's a little bit too sunk there, so I'll just move it out ever so slightly. And for the purposes of this demo, that's fine. So again, I'm just grabbing that information, copy component. Whilst play is still pressed, I'm right-clicking on transform and copy component to get exactly this data here, and then pressing stop. Again, it's still on the right object, it's popped back to 0. I right-click on transform, paste component values. You can see it's jumped into place. And if I just click this one as well, I can hover over that, put myself on it, go to that's in the game window, go to the scene window just by clicking scene, and again, I can now grab the on back object in the scene hierarchy. I'm rotating it. Whoops, daisy, that wasn't right. Oh dear. I'm rotating it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that I'm upright. I'm going to turn it this way. There we go. I think that's right. Now I'm pressing W, and I'm just going to try and maneuver it around to about there. That foot should be on the armrest there, and notwithstanding my cowboy hat disappearing into the top of the sofa there, shouldn't be wearing that. You can see I just want to move the fingers in a bit there, fingers down the cushions, looking for some loose change while I sit in a position of idle sloth, watching TV or whatever it is these two are doing. Nothing terribly energetic. And so again, I can grab the transform information here, copy component, whilst play is still still live, and then I again paste component values by right-clicking on transform, the word again, paste component values. You can see there we are. It's jumped around. Now when I press play, so we can see the NPC is lazing around on the sofa, and I can click on this, and it positions me. Lazing around with them. And again, if you are in world, you'll see that the avatar inspector buttons are live, and I can zoom in on myself and see the scene that I've created in more detail. Okay, so again, that object can be baked into the scene, or it can be uploaded as a generic and deployed in a scene that supports generic items. And that is how to create and submit interactive furniture items to the Space virtual world.